Yeah. Yeah. I know they mad for no reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Gotta move fast for a reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Huddling, I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling, I'm staring at charts until I retire. Oh, 700K, I'm selling a Bitcoin. Haters mad, but they listen to this one. More profit coming to my direction. Yeah, you know me, I don't need a mention. I got the remedy, ooh, yeah. They don't just follow me, ooh, yeah. You say allegedly, ooh, yeah. You would subscribe to me, ooh, yeah. Staring at chart, drawing a line. Make a decision, you out of time. Huddling, I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling, I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. See I'm safe. On-chain revolution. Guns. Boom.
Welcome back to On-Chain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire crypto ecosystem. What is up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live on the On-Chain Hour, and today's show is going to be absolutely sideways like the market. No, I'm just kidding. The market's sitting at $91,096 or $91,918. So you got Ethereum sitting at 3,114. You got Solana sitting at 138. You have Tau sitting at 288. Tau has been one of the strongest coins during this this year so far. Honestly, it's seriously doing really well. Merlin Chain having a good day, up 1.5%. AJ Hustle taking a pullback here at minus 10%. XRP sideways pretty much. Monero down 6%. Aster sideways. Wilfi minus 1%. So you have a lot of red, a lot of strong projects doing good, weak projects doing bad. So I watch a lot of TradFi stuff, and they have crypto people on. The crypto people that they have on aren't you and I, right? They are very TradFi-esque, who were told, hey, you need to start studying crypto. So they became experts in that over the course of the last year or so. And I say experts, I tread that lightly, because they're very new to the space, right? And they're looking at some of these assets, and one of the main things that they're saying is, where's the revenue, right? Why doesn't XRP, why doesn't Cardano have any users? How is this a blockchain that is in the top 10? And they're finally really doing their due diligence and saying these are the winners and these are the losers, which is, like I said, that's what TradFi does, right? They have certain metrics that they've always followed, and they're taking that and bringing that to crypto. And for me, I definitely respect the TradFi people. I listen every day to kind of get their idea. I don't really invest in traditional finance assets, but I definitely keep an eye over there, and it kind of points me to whether crypto is going to have a bullish couple months or a very weak couple months. And it does look like we're going to have a couple weeks at least of weakness, right? So yeah, that sucks, but it's time to start thinking outside the box. It's time to start thinking away from meme coins. It's time to start thinking of what assets are going to be here in 3 years. TradFi thinks that some of these assets like XRP and Cardano are going to have slow bleeds to zero. I actually see that. I see some of these projects that are just not useful, that just have communities, those community members actually leaving for stronger projects. I see that it's going to happen. I think XRP is the greatest meme coin that's ever lived. I think it's up there with Doge. I think Doge and XRP are great meme coins, but that's all XRP is. That's all it is. Cardano, same thing. No one uses the chain. There's about 10 or 15 builders over there. They're trying their best, but it's hard to build on UTXO without off-chain indexers. And, we're just experiencing that on Bitcoin. yeah, so I don't know. But then you got Bitcoin that has like no users anymore. I mean, I guess I don't know who is buying runes and ordinals right now. I mean, there's still a lot of them. I think there's more Bitcoin users than Cardano users. Honestly, I really do. So you can say Bitcoin is up there with Cardano. But we have a good show for you guys today. A lot to get into, a lot to go over. So without further ado, let's get the show started. Bring my partner here as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
How you feeling today, bro?
I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling okay. Trying to figure out how to survive and thrive into 2026, right? That's the idea of this year. Went through a tough 2025, but got through it. Now it's more of putting a strategy together and trying to have a level head and, maybe be more of the tortoise and not the hare and try to rush to success, right? Because our space naturally has more of the hare mentality where you try to time the markets, you try to get there, and then you can sell and then relax for the next cycle. But that's different. I think things are changing now, so it's a maturing process, and it is what it is in terms of the influence of these institutions in TradFi. And you can still win, and you see it in TradFi today. You see smart people, everyday people learning how to trade options or learning how to just really research. And that's going to be the biggest thing. Research has kind of been taken out of our space for a bit with just the meme coin hype, this, that, and the other. But, last cycle, people were doing a lot of research, and now we get to do that again and even more in depth.
Yeah, and you know me, that's what I love, right? I love researching projects that I truly believe in, right? And really trying to understand them, and I feel like that's coming back. Meme coins, last year, for instance, right? We talked about it a lot. Like, this isn't sustainable. Like, we can't just have a new meme coin every month to go into $100 billion, and the one that went to $100 billion the prior month goes to zero. Like, we can't just keep doing that. That's not sustainable as an ecosystem. We got to start finding good projects with good leaders. I mean, that's the biggest part, right? Finding a project with amazing leaders, and you're kind of seeing that right now. Projects with the amazing leaders doing great, but then that doesn't really make the project. It still has to be good. So you need both the best of both worlds. Like, I think Charles Hoskinson is a great leader for Cardano. The Cardano blockchain just sucks.
Cardano community might disagree with you with that, but I mean, in terms of his exposure and stuff he's brought into it, he's done a great job.
The Cardano community will admit that it is expensive and that it is slow, right? I mean, that's 100%. That you can't deny when you're using something like Solana, or you're using something like Monad, or if you're using something like, even Base Chain, right? Base Chain is one of the slower, fast ones, right? It's still a better experience than Cardano. And then you have to make sure that you have enough Cardano in your wallet because you're sending on a UTXO, right? So you're basically sending Cardano to another wallet, and then inside is an off-chain transaction that's showing the asset. So it's not, the assets aren't even on chain like ERC20s.
Yeah, I was speaking more of a leadership position. I think there's some of the builders probably not happy with some of the things that might have happened, this, that, and the other.
Okay.
Than the technicals of the chain.
The blockchain. I was like, you used
no. What you were talking, you were talking about leadership, and you brought him up, and like the one thing that you can't deny about him is that the marketing part, he definitely helped it a ton. But from our experience dealing with builders over there, it didn't seem like all of them are too happy with some of the decisions with the foundation and all this other stuff. But with that said, the marketing part is the part that makes number go up. So
maybe I should hit on that more. Like, who is a leader, marketer? So, but I'm sure. Why would you build there if you didn't feel like he was a good leader in the beginning, right? Like, I feel like maybe you don't like the direction that he's gone into recently, and I think that's fine. But originally, he was the face, and you look at him like you would look at Tully or Vitalik, right? I mean, in that sense. So again, when you think about crypto and you think about the top people here, you gotta remember Hawkinson was one of the founders of Ethereum at the end of the day, right? They don't like that because they cut him very quickly, while Gavin was still writing the Solidity code that he was cut, but he was still the CEO of Ethereum at one point, which is crazy to think about. So
that CEO of Ethereum sounds weird.
They were building it as a business though back then. It eventually went decentralized, but yeah. So let's get into our first topic here today, which is survive and thrive in 2026. The only guide to stay sane until Valhalla. Well, is Valhalla a real thing? Like, honestly, at this point, like,
Valhalla is changed. It's just Val now. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, honestly, I don't see a bull market like I see the next bull run happening how TradFi's bull runs are, where it's just slow grind up
Yeah, slow
for
grind up
long
with
times.
some probably more intense stuff that's like expected to be strong, right? And then you have
Yeah.
some new emerging stuff that it has a lot of reasons that warrants it to be in the discussion with the blue chips and stuff like that, right? I mean, what we saw with TradFi in 2025.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably more of the expectation. But with that being said, you got to stay sane. You got to realize that you need to be open-minded and versatile and be open to change and maybe change the way you research, change the way you approach it. And that's all about like evolving and being a better individual at whatever craft you're doing in general,
Yeah.
right? I mean, some people do get to a point like, like Jordan, for example, like he was at the peak of his game and like you're almost kind of like, what else could he do? I mean, he's just dominating, winning championship after championship. But in his mind, he's like, what else can I do? And he's trying to figure it out, right? So I think
Mhm.
taking that mentality, and I know that's going pretty extreme, but it's not such the easy game anymore over here to where you just get to wait and then, ape in and then reap the rewards. That's not what it is anymore. But you could actually probably do even better long term now. And you got to figure out what's your toolbox now. Like you go take a look at your toolbox. What do you have in there? What do you need to change? What tools do you need to replace to be successful in this industry?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Warren Buffett, some people would say he's the second best investor in the world behind Nancy Pelosi. But even Warren Buffett, right? Like he made a lot of mistakes. He made a lot of money, but he made a lot of mistakes. I mean, he got out of stuff right before they rocket shipped. He got into Apple, super late. Like he missed a lot of the tech stocks, but he is, considered, the second greatest investor of all time. Right. So some people might consider him first, but Nancy Pelosi was just so good. But like, how do you feel about like potentially, do you see Warren Buffett as like that leader amongst people?
Yeah, for sure. In the traditional sense, absolutely. I think a lot of people have said like Warren Buffett is on the spectrum, and that is
Yeah.
like one of the things that he just like was naturally, gravitated to was being able to analyze, companies and value and
Yeah.
stuff. And you can tell kind of whenever you speak to him, he's just really just it's like embedded in his brain how it
Yeah.
works, right? So I think using him as like an example of being probably the top is a really good one. But then you see what made him successful, right? And you obviously people want to try to mimic it. They've tried to mimic it in the past, and people will always have their own type of strategy. But being as good as him is going to be hard. But you can be as the best version of yourself of it, right? And I think that's what you try to shoot for.
Well, being like him is actually pretty easy because all he does is buy good companies and holds them for long, long periods of time, right? So identifying the good companies, that's the hard part of that, right? But holding them for a long, long period, like he still holds, well, Berkshire Hathaway still holds the Coca-Cola that he bought in the 60s, right? Like they're still getting a dividend off holding that for all those years, and it's up, hundreds of X's since he purchased it, right? So it's kind of like, how do we find good companies with good leaders in that aspect? How do we kind of look and really do our due diligence? And that's something I'm going to work on the next couple of weeks, right? I'm going to start looking into more and more projects, listening to podcasts, and definitely on their founders and everything they've done over the course of the last year or so, to kind of build them, to kind of see where they are. So I'm looking at founder mode. I know, in decentralization, you shouldn't really, there's not one guy, but at the end of the day, you can have the greatest community in the world. The founder comes out and says something wrong, the thing dumps, right? So it's like, it's one of those things where we have to start paying attention to the founders and the founding teams of these projects.
And that's how the rules are played in this
Yeah.
capitalistic market, which is, like it or not, you wanted the US to bring this, integrate this, and the US is the strongest capitalist market in the world, right? So that's what you see from traditional finance and Web 2 and traditional corporations is the leader. of almost every company, right? Are the ones that stand out. You see it with Nvidia, you see it with Facebook, you see it with X, everything X, right? And Elon. And so it makes sense to look towards that even in this space. If you want that decentralization, cypherpunk stuff, you can still, do that with Bitcoin, right? You can always get that with Bitcoin, maybe some of these other chains that still have those fundamentals. But, I agree. I think you got to, first, coming out of this 2025, you got to realize that, you probably got beat up. If you didn't, then, you just extremely conservative type of person, and congrats to you. But if you are on the flip side of that coin and you're used to how crypto works and Web3 works, then you got to check your sanity first, right? You got to protect your brain. You got to, that's your attention. That's how you, really can get locked in and research on these up and coming companies, chains, founders, the stuff that's fundamentally driven to make, entities successful.
Yeah, 100%. And, build a FOMO firewall, right? When you see something like White Whale running right now, you can't ape into it. You just can't. You can't ape into White Whale at 100 million, can you?
No. That's especially at that market cap. I mean, the only instance that would really make sense would be if you were well and doing some sort of scalp type of trade. But yeah, that's not what the building a FOMO firewall, I think, is going to be one of the most important things, this year is protecting yourself from activity that might have made you successful in 2021, 2022. That doesn't mean that you have to eliminate every single thing, because there's going to be some little aspects of, how our space works that is still here. But just making sure that you are guarded in the sense of separating your emotions from decision making, which is not an easy thing to do. Humans are emotional creatures by nature, and so that's why FOMO is such a big thing and a big crutch for humans. But if you can really work on that craft, because this year I feel like is the year of just bettering yourself, and that's something that you can do in our sector, our industry, because there's a lot of people that are within crypto Twitter, or maybe they just watch YouTube or TikTok for the crypto space, and getting sucked into constantly playing the meme game every single day is easy to get sucked into, right? But realizing that this is a different year, and how can I better myself, that might be something that you need to really sit down and maybe write down, and a plan, and how you can just repeat habits every single day to make you better at it.
100%. I agree. One thing you said there was try and better myself, but I heard myself. I just try to better myself every single day. No, I'm just kidding. But the next part of this is survival mode, right? Don't die before the party starts, right? So this is big. What are some ways of doing that, right? We mentioned kind of like risk management and stuff like that, but what are some ways to kind of battle through that?
So planning before you get into stuff, position sizes, what are you able to risk in terms of size, entry prices as well, right? I know that if you there's a lot of people that use strong DCA strategies to say, well, if you just believe in conviction with that project, well, you still should try to get a good entry price on whatever projects you believe in. If I can get a better deal on Jordan 4s are my favorite design of the Jordan, right? But if I can get a better deal, I'm going to get a better deal on a specific one that I've wanted forever, right? And I think that's where that mentality comes in, is entry price, right? So you got to look for the better deal of something that you want, right? And so that's one way. Liquidity plus narratives, right? Liquidity is greater than narratives. Think about that, right? So the hype in our space is huge to where you can make something go up. But what is the liquidity environment like right now? How long can that hype last for? Because in 2021, it could last for a couple months maybe, right? And that's a long time in crypto, by the way. Now, we see narratives come and go within a week and a half. X402, for example, it was strong for about a week and a half. About a week and a half to 2 weeks.
Really strong.
I know,
still
but
really
you
true.
get what I'm saying though, like in terms of going through like the pump fund tokens. Like when I saw the pump fund tokens, it was like X402, 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 and then for about a week and a half. I'm not talking about don't think about
Yeah.
like, I'm not talking about like overall narrative of it's not dead. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in terms of liquidity and how that can like last for something. So
I think that was a bad
what
example though, because X402 is one of the strongest narratives right now that you can.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is like you don't want to like overly ape in it. You know what I mean? If you feel like you don't want to overly ape in X402 at this very moment, and then you put like 80% of your portfolio in it because you just feel like,
shouldn't do that
oh, this is
anyway.
this. Well,
That's not how you survive and thrive, bro. You don't do
exactly,
that.
exactly. You don't, and that's what this is about. Is right. Like before, like the liquidity environment was really hot in 2021. You could do that, and then you could get away with it a week later and sell. Because you or 2 weeks later, even hold it for 3 weeks, and you could sell. That's what I'm saying. So liquidity environment matters.
Stop trying to sell in 3 weeks.
Well,
that's
liquidity
the biggest problem.
Liquidity environment matters more than the narratives do.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. But I think narratives are the biggest thing you should be thinking about. And in a DCA environment, long-term thinking, right? Find the hottest narratives. That's how you survive. Survival mode is to me is finding outside money, finding more money. For
Narratives
me,
that
right?
will like live though, right? Not
Yes,
narratives that will
402
die.
will live. X402 will be the agent-to-agent commerce that we're all kind of expecting. It's the right now. It's the only way agents can do transaction with other agents using X402 because there is no. You need a firewall. You need a facilitator to do those things. Agents aren't pressing buttons, right? They're not pressing buttons. So that's the big thing. So I think finding great narratives like AI, like those sectors, AI seems to be one of the few sectors that I'm actually interested in. Like I'm not really interested in anything else. Like DeFi, I'm kind of like falling like out at a wayside with because it's being completely taken over by TradFi and stuff like that. But AI is one of the big narratives that I want to follow because there's gonna be a lot of innovation from that sector.
Yeah.
Right. So finding good narratives and DCAing into those narratives, not having a short-term mindset and finding outside money, like money you can do, like let's just say you do a side job or a gig or whatever, gig economy, you do DoorDash and you put all that money into a narrative that you truly believe in. I don't think you really need liquidity because you're just doing a DCA. You're doing $200 a week, $300 a week. You're not going heavy. So you don't really need liquidity. So that's like the one fallback I see on that.
Yeah. So I was trying to say, like, don't use those narratives to try to win every single day. That's what
Don't try
I
to win
mean
every
by
single day.
yeah. That's definitely it, right? But some people, what they do is they hear these narratives and they try to win every single day off of those narratives for that week, right? Or for the next like 3 weeks, right? So you can get stuck in that. So that's a big point. Stop trying to win every single day. You got to get out of that mentality. That's what's getting people crushed the most at this moment right now.
Well, I think you have to. Another thing too, we haven't really talked about. Is kind of thought about is having a trading portfolio and having a long-term portfolio. And your trading portfolio should not be more than 3 or 4% of your long-term portfolio, right? And I think if you're willing to chase narratives with like a small portion of your portfolio, I think that you can win that way. But I think you have to identify your trading portfolio and your long-term portfolio, and they have to be two different things.
Well,
I'm okay with that.
the
Chasing
problem is
narratives with small portion of your
the
portfolio.
problem is that people are still stuck in the fast get rich quick mentality of crypto, right? So if you can eliminate that, I think that would help you have take a different look at the space and realize that it's different right now. So that's something that I think, for me at least, stop trying to win every single day is a thing that I'm going to carry. Now, that doesn't mean that like I'm not trying to have like a good month. Of course, I want to have a good month, but that's more of the zooming out, right? You believe in this narrative or you have this strategy, and is it working? Last month, how did it do? That type of approach versus, and I go back to like the, simple story of the tortoise and the hare. And that's what it comes down to, right? You don't try to win every single day. Now, if that is working for you and you're winning every single day, ignore what I said.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no one's winning every day, especially not in this market. So that's impossible. But I think that this is, so I didn't think about this pre-show, but it's just in my brain now. But having the long-term portfolio, I think, if you're putting money into the market every week, I think you should put 90% of that into long-term investments. When I say long-term investments, the long-term investment to me is between 9 months and the rest of your life, like depending on your aspect. But I think minimum should be 9 months. I think when you think about long-term investment, I do think it's okay to add 10% of that. So let's just say $30 into a trading portfolio and trying to find hot runners. I think that's okay. Or trying to find hot narratives that could 10x that in the next couple weeks. Do you think that's a fair way of thinking about it? Very small money, but trying to kind of hit the lottery a little bit.
So I think that if you are the type of person that can handle that emotionally, that's fine, right? But a lot of people can't. That's the problem, right? And so it really depends
Well,
on
that's a personal problem. That's a 1-800 gambler.
well, yeah,
It's
and
type of issue.
do you think that's a personal problem that the space has? I do. I mean, you can see it like with pump fun every single day.
Well, I just think that it's
And leverage, like last year,
I think you'll
leverage
always
got
have your gamblers.
extremely wrecked, right?
I don't know if it's a problem in our space. I do think that it's different sectors of people using it in the wrong way. I think it's a tool that a lot of people use in the wrong, but there's a lot of people that use it in right ways. There's a lot of people that make tons of money.
You're agreeing with me because it's the people that can do it, that can handle the emotions.
If you can't do it, you need to call 100 Gambler.
Well, and a lot of people in the space do.
Yeah, well, they should definitely. I think we should call in our gambler and try to get them as a sponsor, because if you can't control your emotions, you shouldn't be in this space at all. You shouldn't be walking into the casino. Period.
Exactly.
If you can't handle one glass of alcohol without drinking 15, you have a problem, right? So it's kind of like you got to know where you're at. Don't go into a bar if you're an alcohol. If you're an alcoholic, don't go to someone that's doing drugs or hang around someone who's doing drugs that you're a drug addict. It's just not going to work for you. Don't hang out in the casino if you have a gambling addiction. I think we have to separate that.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people probably shouldn't go into like crypto Twitter.
A lot of people shouldn't be a crypto, period.
Exactly, right? Because it's and I think that's the whole point of that TradFi is kind of saying and screaming is that, like, the space has too much risk attached to it, right? So, and that's the whole point of surviving through this is putting yourself in situations that you don't try to win every single day like that, right? Now, if you are a person that has that strategy, this is not for you. That's not what I'm, this message is not for you. Message is more for the person that is, used to the fast pace, extremely fast pace that the space has rewarded them with in the past, by the way, because it seems that it's slowing down a ton.
Yeah. Moving along. So leverage discipline. Leverage is a tool, not a lifestyle. If you can't sleep, you're oversized. I want to put it out there that I don't trade leverage. I've played around just kind of having some fun, but it's the same money I'd go. Like if I go to a casino, I take $150 and that's it, right? Like same thing with leverage. I've always just done, $150 max on a Friday night or something just to have a little fun gambling, but then I'm done. I can handle myself not going and trying to get more. But I don't think leverage is a tool in crypto. I think leverage is a gambling mechanism that you can choose to have some fun with.
So I think it's a tool for the really strong, disciplined people, but for the average person, you're right.
I mean, like, for instance, like Texas Hold'em, right? There's probably 1% of people that can constantly win, right? Constantly win, right? They just understand. They're the guys who wins the World Series of Poker, 6-7 times. That's 1% of the people. I think 1% of the people who trade leverage can constantly win.
I mean, you have to have a consistent strategy to remove emotions or just be ice cold in terms of just your personality to be able to do that. And it's a small group of people that are able to do that, right? And that's why some people use bots eventually, because they feel like, okay, if I'm the one that's in control, I'm gonna mess this up.
Yeah, 100%. Do you see leverage as a tool though? Because I don't. For the average person,
I see it as not for the average person, For the experienced, proven track record type people, absolutely it is, but not for the average person.
Security like paranoid billionaire. Security is a hardware wallet, separate. Yes. So this is something we have to talk about. I'm glad this is on here. So security like a paranoid billionaire. if you hold more than $15,000, even $10,000 in a hot wallet, and it's your long-term portfolio, you're an idiot. You need to go to ledger.com and get yourself a hardware wallet, Ledger, something proven. Don't go to these wallets and stuff like that, and maybe multiple, right? So if you mess up and you like, so let's just say you had $30,000, put $10,000 in 3 different ledgers, as long as they're long-term portfolios, right? Maybe even use stuff like Coinbase. It depending on, I would never do that, but if you, and the reason I wouldn't do that is because it's just it's going to be just you can get logged out one day and just have a hard time. I don't like dealing with customer service. That's just not my thing. So for me, I'm a hardware wallet. I understand how hardware wallets work. I've educated myself to understand them fully, and I know exactly what to do. For me, once I start building up something like I truly believe in again with multiple hardware wallets, and just lock it in, set it, forget it, and just remember, and then what you do too is you do 3. When you're writing down your seed phrase, you write it down 3 different times and put it in 3 different places, right? Hide them. Like I have a seed phrase, in my mom's basement, like hidden somewhere in the walls, right? That nobody will find except me. But that's just something that I do, right?
In the
There's nothing
walls.
you could do.
Yeah, the sledgehammer breaking down the
Well,
wall.
no, they
Just
were
kidding.
rebuilding one
Oh,
area
okay.
of the house, and I was just like, this is a really good place. And I just didn't tell nobody. I spackled it into the wall.
But you just told everybody in the world, just not. No, just kidding.
That seed phrase is no longer anything inside
Active.
that. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't have anything. That Bitcoin is long gone. But yeah, so that's what I did a long time ago. So if I ever need it, I just had to smash my mom's wall. And sorry, mom, but that's what I mean. Like trying to figure out ways. I'm a machinist by trade, so what I did, I took metal and I inscribed the seed phrases into metal, and I have it different places. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's
You can
cool.
even you can bury it in a cemetery. If you have a loved one in a cemetery, take like a little hole, shove a piece of metal down there as far as you can get, and rebury it. Nobody will ever find it, right? So it's like one of those things where you just think of ideas that are outside the box thinking, that if worse comes to worse, you needed to go find that one day, you can find it.
Yeah, I feel like we heard way too many stories in 2025 of people getting hacked and losing their assets in an already tough year, right? So you put that on top of a year that was hard for our space. That's like a double just gut punch, right? So you just don't want to have to even think about dealing with that part
I
of it.
know.
You're already dealing with why aren't numbers going up, and so absolutely agree with you.
Yeah. So we're kind of long here. So is there anything on here that you really want to dig into next?
I guess just kind of the thrive part of it, right? So
Yeah.
it's more we just went over survival part. This next part's gonna be the thrive part, right? So figure out what your core convictions are, because I
Yes.
believe that there's a lot of people in the space that might not have that figured out yet, which to me I think is a big mistake. You got to figure out what you believe in right now, because you need to apply that to your, and that doesn't mean like have it all and that's it. It evolves, right, as you learn more and research more, right? But if your conviction is I just know that the space is going to have its run again, that's not going to get cut it. You need to have the research, put in the time and the effort, and really believe in what you are DCAing in, because you know it, that's what's going to keep you grounded.
Yeah, 100%. And for me, I have really just one conviction, and I think that's fine. My one conviction is AI. And I think there's going to be a lot of narrative around different things. Like, so AI can be a lot more. Like, it can be X402, it can be agents, it can be facilitators, it can be, there's a lot of sectors I think that are going to come from AI that they're going to have to open a box. So I think, and be excited about the thing you're interested in. If you're excited about the evolution of where that is going, 100%. Another conviction play if someone might have is RWA, real world assets, right? Getting into a lot of stuff that TradFi is getting into, like Ondo and some of these other ones, right? Or privacy. Privacy could be somewhere you're really excited about. So you have to figure out what you're excited about. I think that's a lot of people do. They invest very boring, and then they like something hot comes, and they just go and they just ape into it, right? And then they end up losing money. So it's kind of like just being convicted in
Warren
something
Buffett's
you're
very
truly
boring.
excited about. Warren Buffett was excited about Coca-Cola when he first got into it, though. He wrote articles on it. He was excited into some of the tobacco stuff that he got into. He truly thought that was going to change the game. You got to remember, before Coca-Cola, they were drinking
Boring
like
to
sugar
other
water.
people, but not to him. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Boring to other people, but not to. That's what I'm saying. As an individual, maybe AI doesn't excite you. Maybe RWA excite you. That doesn't excite me. But if you're somebody that RWA, I think this is the biggest thing. I think this is amazing. That's when you know that you're in the right aspect. You got to really be excited about it. Next person might not be excited about it, but as long as you are and your conviction is high on that place, and you're okay with throwing $300 every week into it, and you're just excited every time you do it, that's how you know.
Agree.
All right. Let's get into some comments before we get into the price action. Ton of comments in here, guys. Really appreciate it. Every single one of you guys. First one here is Piers Net says, GM, my first time here, but I have been following your daily podcast almost every day for more than a year.
Conviction.
Holy crap. Conviction right there. Just under a different name. You've been a great source. I really appreciate that, Piers Net. Absolutely amazing to hear that. Lance Hopper, the legendary one, says, Friday, let's go. Patty Poo is here, the Bitcoin machine himself. He says, DRB, Grok's first coin, already made Grok a millionaire in fees in 9 months. Great narrative. If X wakes up someday and lets Grok trade this proceeds, a wallet, it's going to go to billions. Smart cap. DRB. What's that? Just Grok's meme coin? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was launched on Base, maybe.
Yeah.
I want to say it was launched on Base Chain. I remember when that happened. It was basically Grok launched a token, I believe. So maybe someone prompted Grok to launch a token. I'm not sure how it happened, but that was the one that it ran for a bit. But obviously after the AI stuff calmed down, it calmed down as well.
Patty Poo says on Grokopedia and acknowledged and written by Grok. So Grok's saying that he did that. So Blazing Bandit says, what's up, Shiz and Yagobi? Chat, let the pump begin. You are the bullish dude. I wish I had your energy, Ryan. Subscribe, like, and share. My guy. He said Ripple is integrated in the AWS stack. Nah, it's not. Nah. I saw something like that this morning. I didn't even want to put that in the news. I was like, nah. Because once they start digging into the technology, they're gonna be like, so it's off-chain indexers. Yeah, it's not gonna work.
But like, is it true that they're partnering with AWS or something?
There was something that came out. It's not by it wasn't a
credible source.
A good source. It wasn't a credible source. That's why I didn't put it in there. But now I'm sitting here talking about it. But I should have put it in anyway. But it was one of those things where I was like, no. It's like AWS has confirmed active interest in XRP. And this is from a guy named John Squire. He has 544,000 followers, but he said he's an XRP guy, right? So he said this multiple times. If a member of the Amazon team says, "Oh yeah, we're interested in Ripple," then they're gonna put all this fake narratives out there.
Well, it's like James Wynn that was saying that Wintermeat was suing Binance, right?
Yeah.
It's like he was shorting, I'm sure. So
sure, 100%. Blazing Bandit says, yo, 10-cent swaps are all you need. Ape-in necessarily needed. I don't know what you I think dude, Ryan, are you on Twitter, bro? Because I gotta follow you when you're putting all this stuff out, because he said BTC on Solana, there's only 21 million Bitcoins on Solana. I don't know what that means.
BTCS.
In 6 years, we haven't won yet. It's coming. You can't stop a tsunami, my dudes. 100%. Every penny I get goes into crypto. He says every single one. Ryan does not eat. He does not eat. He does not pay rent. He just buys crypto. Michael says, "Yep, you gotta different positions, cash positions, core positions, risk positions." So that's one thing I should have said too. You gotta have you gotta have some cash
on the side.
That was my biggest problem. Never, and then I'm selling assets to pay bills or to pay down stuff, right? So it's like, and there's assets that are just dying every day. That right there is my biggest problem, honestly. So he says you got to get different positions. Those percentages are for you to decide. Everyone has different. Yeah, so I agree with that. Blazing Man says I got the lottery portfolio for a king. Yeah, he's all in. He's all in there. Smug Toshi Patty Poo says picked up some opium puppets early this year. I haven't heard of $930 proudly in my vault. What are they now? They're probably low now, right?
Well, I think is he saying that they're $930 right now?
He said early this year, so it means
Okay.
like probably like a couple of days ago. So yeah, probably around there. Blazing Bandit says no one sees how big it is. Everything is going on blockchain rails. Everything is getting tokenized. Get in before price are realized. That is the game here. 100%. Sorry, he says. It's 420 here all day, every day. Myself says, pass the Dutchie. I honestly, and you guys are not gonna like this, but I don't think you can smoke weed and be successful. I honestly don't. And this is somebody I smoked weed for, probably like 13 years. I don't think you can smoke weed and be successful. This is my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously been people that have proven for that to be, not the case. You have.
And I know a lot of people that is the case. They're
so it goes back to kind of like the gambling and stuff like that, right? It's like, are you an individual that can handle it? And that's with life too, honestly. I mean, just any situation, right? Because you have like Willie Nelson, Snoop Dogg, these people, but they're entertainers, right? So they go really, into it from the entertainment side, but you still have like producers and movie producers and actors and stuff that are really successful that do it as well. So it just depends on the personal aspect to it. But on average, you're probably right with that.
I just feel like it makes you complacent. It makes you happy about with what you have. So maybe some people need that. But if you want to be truly successful, I feel like complacency is the root of all evil. I think being complacent, being happy with what you have, and being, I feel like you should always be thriving. You should always be thriving to be smarter. You should always be thriving to be more successful. You should always be thriving to keep yourself knowledgeable.
But you gotta if you're not happy with who you are or your current situation in the sense of like, like you're like depressed or you can't move forward and stuff like that.
Go outside.
No, what I'm saying is that like some people will never find enough. You know what I'm saying? And some of the people that can never find enough, they end up not having success because they're always like chasing more.
Well,
right?
When I say that, I'm not talking about just,
but it sounded like
money.
that.
No, but I said if I said, always be trying to educate yourself. Instead of just sitting there, blazing up every single day, watching movies or playing video games, listen to an audiobook, watch a podcast, like always try to be educating yourself. Be productive, build something, right? I feel like there's no chance in hell I'd be able to like get high and then try to build a project. It'd be nearly impossible, right? Because your brain you're just making yourself stupid, and then you're trying to be smart. It just doesn't work. So that's just my opinion. I'd love to know your guys' opinion, but I don't think you can be truly successful and be complacent at the same time.
But yeah, I mean, it goes kind of back to the individual, but I think on average, that's probably a statement that, if they did studies, that they would probably see some evidence towards that, right? But again, you have your one-offs here and there and your anomalies of people that become more creative sometimes on the creative side of things. But yeah, so, I think what your point was, and it was always try to be productive. And I do agree with that. I do agree with that 1,000%. So
yeah, and guys, I'm not somebody who, like I said, I smoked for 15 years, like from 20 to 35, right? So it's not like, I haven't experienced it. I knew, like I was, once I quit is when everything kind of just like, that's when I found crypto, right? So Blazing Bandit says, yeah, man, stay MC here. Blazing Bandit says, let the pump begin. What's up, everyone? Hodl tight, generational wealth is now in sight. No one ever said it would be easy. Yeah, no, that's one thing. Well, that's not true. When I first got to crypto, a lot of people said it would be easy. All you got to do is just hold assets long term. I mean, they're right about Bitcoin, but that's about it. Mogar's here. He says AI is in deep end, live maps, robotics, satellites. Yes, 100%. Like I think you're gonna see a lot of like AI can be so much. Like it can be deep end, it can be robotics, it can be satellites. Like I just feel like that genre of where you need to be is gonna be huge, right? It's gonna create different
next version of the internet. I feel like,
yeah. Jason said he's there with his daily shill of XEN. Shout out to you, man. You are consistent. Stan says Cardano will advertise X402 and RWA capabilities. Can the channel share which projects is best for those categories? Let's do that tomorrow. Let's kind of go over some of the best X402 and RWA because we've been on this topic for a little bit.
Well, Monday,
yeah. We'll definitely do it Monday, Stan. Blazing Bandits, see, this is why I keep coming back. Thank you. He says, correct. This house is paid for. Yeah, well, yeah, that's if you can do that, you can do that, man. But OpenAI, Mr. Unfiltered AI, he had an AI into his profile. He says, but OpenAI apps on GPT is a huge chance to get some coin. Well, if you create apps on GPT, is that what he's saying?
I think it's starting to become maybe like a marketplace. Is that what you're getting at, Mr. Unfiltered? Because that's what I get from that. And obviously it seems to be the next evolution of creating, these AI model apps. But yeah, I'm definitely going to look into that. I've dove into the world of utilizing AI models the past month of just to be, build stuff to help me, give me more an advantage. And I've learned a lot already.
100%. He says, check back with me at the end of 2026, my friends. Yeah, I hope you're still here. I hope you're still rocking with us. I would love to know. Myself says, cannabis slows you down for sure. I use it at the end of the day.
Some people use it to wind down at the end of the day too. Yeah,
a glass of wine at the end of the night. Yeah, I completely agree with that. But I guess I was meaning the people who are just 24/7. That's how I used to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
You wake up to it. After your work, you do it. Going to bed.
But because
all day long.
Yeah, you kind of more relied on it to just feel, functional.
Complacent. Yeah, just be happy.
I mean, something.
That's seriously because, you know what I mean. Like when you just have bills constantly, and you need a relief, and you're just not getting it from anywhere else. But I just feel like those people, the 24/7 people is kind of what I'm talking about. Blazing Man said, if your wallet showed a $6 trillion, you would stay happy. Yeah, I can't even.
Anybody would
comprehend that. True story, Yagobi. And he says, Stan says Adderall is the drug of choice for billionaires. I've never taken Adderall, so I don't know.
Billionaires, SBF.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look what happened to him, right? Well, he wasn't on methamphetamine and stuff too.
I'm sure it was all prescription Adderall, but
gotcha.
It was. I have this theory that a lot of it had to do with the girl starting with Alameda is what started that whole downward spiral, right? And they probably all were on it. So.
Well, they made so much money with Alameda in the beginning.
Yeah,
I remember Alameda was they found Solana super early, right? So they rode that from $2 to.
But it was this department. I mean, and this office building in the Caribbean where there's probably 10 to 15 people working, and they were their job was to make more money for the overall parent company, and then what goes up must come down. But the thing is that they were a part of what can move the market, and it's almost kind of they forgot that they were not the only part of the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Myself says, wallet's glitch. You control your own outcome. I smoke because it got me off of other. Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, yeah. I'm not saying anything. I just feel like it just makes me personally complacent. Off the opioids.
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah. He said, I used to make all day, every day, and was major productive. Tune up before job interviews. What's the way up? All right, Glasshopper. Bandit says, I'm not going anywhere, friends. And then Glasshopper says, I got a career for 15 years. My guy. I appreciate every single one of you guys each and every single day. But let's kind of get into the Bitcoin price action and crypto bubbles.
All right, let's do it, guys. But before we do that, again, I'm going to always ask you guys to help us out, and you guys always do, so we appreciate you guys. On the YouTube side, smash that like for us, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, all that great stuff, so you know when we go live on X. Let's share the space, man. Let's get more people in here on this Friday. And then shout out to Abstract Crew, Pump Streams, and Zora for the people watching on Zora as well. And then Rumble's starting to pick up. That is for sure with their new wallet and all that good stuff. And then I think it's just Twitch and Spotify. Those are the last two, but appreciate each and every one of you guys. Let's jump into some price action. And for the people that are new, this is just a high level, so we don't get deep into it. Just kind of see a pulse of where Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the alts are feeling like today, where they might want to go. But what I'm saying with Bitcoin here is a start to a new buy pressure session. So this is good. This is definitely good. But we started this chop, if you go back to the yesterday, really, on the hour chart. So yesterday morning, 7 a.m. So we had this kind of correction. So played out a little similar to what I said, right? I said, we did have up only to start the year, and then the correction, and now chop before the next leg up, right? Or it could be, a leg down. But I do think we get one more leg up before possibly the end of the month we start to have more pullback. But let's see what happens. Today is a good start here. The momentum indicator, the MACD right here, is looking pretty strong. You can see the fast line almost going completely vertical here, so wants more, it seems like. So that's what I'm thinking. I think that we do have a little bit of chop to the upside, right? So we could try to venture back to maybe 92, 92.5, but that doesn't mean we don't pull back in the second half of today and we get back to maybe where we are right now, right? So let's just kind of see what happens here in the next 2 to 4 hours. But as of right now, it wants to move forward. So I'm not expecting anything like aggressive or anything like that, because it is a Friday heading into the weekend. We know weekends are not super aggressive one way or the other. Sunday evenings can be, if it's going to be a good start or just a bad start to the next week, right? So don't be surprised if we do try to challenge 92 and go a little bit above that. But again, like, to finish the day, don't be surprised if we come back to where we are, right? So that's more of what I'm thinking for today. But first, maybe some push up here. So that is what I'm seeing for the hour. The 4 hour. 4 hour looks pretty good for the setup here. You can see that it looks like it wants to start this buy pressure session. So giving that conviction and confirmation to the hour chart, what we're seeing there. So it wants to head back to overbought territory. So that's good. Again, get us back to that 92, maybe 92.5. We could see some pullback later today, but nothing super aggressive either way. So that is Bitcoin there for the 4 hour as well. Now the daily is looking like we have like an extension here from the buy pressure session that started in towards the end of November. So we've been here for a while, right? So this is something that could play it a little bit quicker than the end of the month, or we could have an extension pull out even more, because we are seeing exhaustion right here. This is exhaustion, right? So are we going to hang out in the middle here a bit, maybe get for next week, and then maybe the third week we see that pull back down and go into sell pressure? I don't know. We're going to find out though this next week. So I mean, really, heading into this weekend and Sunday night is going to be huge, in my opinion, for Bitcoin, to see if we get that, in fact, like push, one more push up, one more leg up on the shorter time frames, right? One more leg up, and then pull back maybe starting week 3. Do we go into like the later part of week 2 tomorrow? I think it eventually happens. I mean, you can see the exhaustion starting to happen here on the daily chart, right? But when, because daily charts zoomed out a bit, right? And this extension could give us another week. We could get another 5 days of buy pressure session, and then start to pull down. So this Sunday evening, next week, early days, we need to be watching Bitcoin to see, are we getting to that 92, 93, 94 mark and then pulling back, or are we just going to pull back early, right? And so that's going to be really important. But as of right now, we're just kind of standing by to watch and see what happens on this daily chart, right? Okay, and the reason why I do think that there is going to be that pullback, if you go to the monthly here, you can see here on the monthly, we are still in sell pressure session. You can see right here, right? We are below oversold territory too. So, I mean, you see these kind of 1 leg up, 2 leg up, 3 leg up, and then this is kind of starting to break down. Do we go choppy chop, right, for the next couple of months? That wouldn't be fun, but we might get it. But this is why I'm saying, we might have this pullback towards the end of the month. And then you can even go to the weekly here. If you go to the weekly is still in sell pressure session. But the setup could say, maybe we don't, that monthly sell pressure won't be so intense because look, I mean, the setup looks decent. So let's kind of just wait, right? So as of right now, I just think that we do a chop today. Going into Sunday night, we'll probably have one way or the other that Bitcoin really wants to go into, and then we'll know more information on, you know, the daily chart, and then if this weekly plays in or not, or if it kind of breaks back down and follows that monthly chart. So that is what we got for Bitcoin. Taking a quick look here for Ethereum as well. Ethereum on the hour chart looks like it wants to, you know, have this continual gradual, you know, build up. So it looks decent here. What Bitcoin's showing us as well. You can see on the 4 hour as well, it wants to close up. So looking pretty decent there. Do we get a cup? And do we get a handle here though? I don't know. We'll find out on the 4 hour. And then you go to the daily exhausted as well. Similar situation as Bitcoin. It does have this extension as well. So yeah, just looking towards Bitcoin there. The crypto bubbles for the top 100, you're seeing some stuff stick out here. Polygon here up 16%. Stacks is up 8.3% here. Morpho pulling up 4%. Pepe, the meme on Ethereum up 4% here. Wilfi pulling back almost 9%. You got Midnight pulling back. Midnight's been kind of like going, it goes on runs one way or the other. 3 days green in a row, 3 days red in a row. So render up 3%. So majority is up anywhere between 1 to 4% across the board here that you're seeing. The stuff that's sticking out I already kind of went over. And so, you know, you can see majority of this is a pullback up, and it is following Bitcoin and Ethereum there. And then looking at the top 200, you see Pippin with its continual run up about 22% there. River pulling back 15%. So it has a continual pullback here. And you see the B coin, which is a meme coin on BSC, pulling back 16%. Again, though, overall, it looks like about almost a 90% pull up with a maybe 10% pullback. Merle has pulled back about 2.7%, sitting at almost 25 cents there. Monad pulling back about 5%, sitting at 0.026. So not too bad, honestly, for Monad, 0.26, because we've seen it way worse before. But overall, same thing in the top 200 as well. It's more 1 to 3, maybe a little bit higher on average with the pull up in the top 200 from a 100 to 200. But that's what it looks like for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the alt market for you guys heading into the weekend.
Yeah, man. Yep, just look sideways, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you got some up, some down, but everything's just
a little bit more
sideways,
green than red on for the alts, a little bit, but it's not. I just feel like this is a follow Bitcoin type of thing. Bitcoin bounced back a little bit this morning, so everybody's trying to get happy about it, is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, 100%. Stan asks why Morpho is so strong. I have no idea.
Lending. I mean, that is a project that TradFi would look at and say, this is a legitimate project that we do research on, and you know, we want to invest in. So that's something that, you know, you got some information from some of the TradFi stuff that you watched. That's what they're looking at. They're looking for their fundamentals, crossing them over to us, and picking those projects.
Crazy you just said that, because that's our next topic. 10 blockchains by revenue, right? So I did some research this morning when me and you were talking, and I went and I found this. So this is the top 10 blockchains by revenue in 2025. This is what TradFi is looking at. This right here. And I didn't know what revenue meant in the sense of a decentralized crypto blockchain, but so this is what it is. This is the definition that Grok gave me. The fees that go to the people that are staking. And that's part of the yield that they get, right? That's why the yield is always like, yeah, it's 6%, but it could be 5.5, it could be 5, it could be 7, depending on how many transactions happening on that network. So for Solana, for instance, they lead in overall volume, right, by far. So that is why they are $1.4 billion. So, you know, every time you send a Solana transaction, you got to pay that gas. Well, that gas needs to go somewhere, right? It goes to the stakers. It gets put in a wallet, and then that is given to the people that are staking it. So think of the stakers as the company. Right. So when for instance, when Google or Amazon make money, it goes to Jeff Bezos is you know, company overall wallet, and that gets broken down into paying people and paying for things and stuff like that. This is the same thing here. It just goes to the people that are keeping the network alive, and that is the proof of stakers, and that is where this goes. So that is pretty good knowledge that I got this morning. Solana leading the way at 1.4. Hyperliquid is the second in revenue, which is crazy. And then Tron third, Ethereum fourth. Isn't that crazy? Tron made more money than Ethereum.
Stable coins, baby.
Yeah. Yep. DeFi is Justin Sun's thing. The Tron is the East's DeFi. We do know I think we can both agree the East is a lot bigger in crypto than the West, right? I think so. Because you have countries like Korea, right? Who they're all the young people are in crypto doing all types of stuff. China, we do know they like to put their money in crypto for reasons that go against the CCP. And you got countries like what is it, Taiwan and stuff like
Singapore.
that. So
Singapore is the largest one out of them all.
So, and they all kind of believe in Justin Sun. It looks like Justin Sun is kind of like the East is Vitalik.
Well, they got CZ too.
Well, CZ is like their Brian Armstrong.
Yeah,
that's how I kind of say it, right?
Yeah. So I do think that the overall perception of crypto and Web3 is more positive in the East from the average person versus the West. If you think about the overall society over here, right? Because you can grab the average person, they probably don't know much about it. And then if you ask them their opinion, positive or negative, you probably get more negative than you get positive, just because what they do know about it is what they hear about in headlines and stuff, right? And so they just revert back to the 2022 situations and things like that. The East is way more involved in researching and they realize it's more, there's a large gambling aspect of it, but they tend to like that. They tend to embrace that more. But again, they do have, these chains that provide revenue now for staking, using helping the validators and the chains continue on. And then I know Tron utilizes DeFi with stable coins as well, and and these type of things. But yeah, Hyperliquid being number 2 as well, that is an Eastern project, right? You're talking about Singapore being the headquarters there. And also, when do they start to market the chain and the chain apps more for Hyperliquid, right? Because there's when you think about Hyperliquid's environment, I just think about Hyperliquid. I don't think about any other applications. But when I think about Tron's environment, I think about Tron. I don't think about any other applications. I know they're doing stablecoin stuff just because
Justin Lin,
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Dap, yeah.
So but the revenue, this statistic here, the top 10 chains by revenue, this is something that TradFi is really starting to build in terms of value, weight, right? What are the valuable assets over there in blockchains? That's what we're going to pour our money into. And so, like I've been saying the past 6 months on our show, is that they've grabbed the table and reset a lot of the rules on it, right? And they're going to determine what has more value and what doesn't, and what should have money poured into it and what shouldn't, or at least they're going to do their best effort at that.
Yeah, 100%. And let's talk about Ethereum and Solana for a second, right? So Solana is almost 150% more than Ethereum fees. That's incredible to think about.
150 what million
percent? It's 150% more. So it's it's 3 times more, right? Almost, right? So it's it's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. But we do know the activity, there's a lot of activity there. So it's almost kind of like, do the stakers want the meme coin stuff to stop? Do these people? Probably not, because they earn more revenue from it, right? From a optics perspective, it doesn't look great, doesn't look super mature, but from a cha-ching perspective, and at the end of the day, we know that's what they care about the most, is how much they can make and earn. And it seems like what they're doing over on Solana is working.
It kind of makes you think that some of the users on Solana, could they be paid to be there? Because if you're making $1.4 billion in annual in
I already
revenue,
thought that.
Can it be Tully and those guys? And this is me speculating. Could they be just kind of?
I think it's more of the KOL networks, right? And the people that.
Well, that's kind of what my point was. Are they paying these KOLs?
Because I'm starting to believe that these KOLs are, the ones that they make an effort, first of all, like the trading platforms, Axiom, GMGN, now Terminal, to have these KOLs a part of their team. They have their badge on there, right? I think most of them are using their created bots from their local machines, and that are using AWS servers that are super fast. And that's why you're seeing, because like some of these trades make absolutely no sense that Cupsy makes too. You'll see Cupsy, you'll see Yenny and these other KOLs, and I'm just like, bro, just lost money on like 5 trades straight, 10 trades straight. It's because like it's doing something that completely eliminates emotions. And so it says, okay, it wasn't worth it here. It wasn't worth it there. It wasn't worth it there. And eventually it gets like, it runs off and gets like 20 wins, or it gets a big win here. It gets a big one. It has to be algorithmic. It has to be formulated. That's why I feel like, because I don't think any human can sit there and just be like, clicking. And even if you are using Axiom or Terminal or GMGM, I feel like a lot of them are doing this, and I feel like it's a collaborative effort. And yes, I do have my tinfoil hat on always. I feel like now it's just surgically just sewn into my head, but the whole idea is that they create this volume and this activity to bring the humans in, and they're going to outperform the humans always. So the humans' money just goes straight to them.
Yeah, over and over and over again. It's like, but I mean, that's kind of casino, right? 90% of the money that goes in casino goes to
1000%.
So, Stan says, is Hyperliquid the youngest? By far. Yeah, by far. Yeah, Sui is like 2023. House,
I mean,
2023. XLR.
If you had to pick one project that won this past 2 years, it's Hyperliquid. I mean,
I would say Solana. Last 2 years, Solana had the biggest comeback of all time.
So yeah, you could say, but you got to think about like the odds against Hyperliquid though. Man, like them starting fresh and having to build like a perps dex that like got like what they hit everything. I felt like everything went right for them. They had 2 exploits or whatever those situations were. Even those didn't like halt them much. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look at that. That revenue is absolutely insane for being launching in 2024?
23.
Okay, late 2023. That's insane. Like to do that in 2 years.
Yeah, but imagine this. Imagine a company holding 20% of the supply goes completely under. That gets given to people that sell it down, right? And then you have all this FUD around it, and you go from $300 to $7, and you battle your way all the way back to an new all-time high. I mean, I get what you're saying, Hyperliquid. I completely agree with you, but you cannot. The comeback of Solana will be something that is taught in schools and stuff in the future. It's something that is extraordinary. The biggest comeback in ever. I mean, I can't compare it to anything else, right? It's maybe Tesla, because Tesla really got kicked in the nuts in the early, in the early teens of 2015, 2016. But it came back roaring in 2020. But this is something I think I mean, dude, think about that. Just for quick.
I mean, it's definitely a huge comeback. But they weren't going to go anywhere. But
when they were $7, people were saying zero, bro.
Did they get down to 7? I thought they got to 16.
It was like 797
for like a day.
Or it was about a day and a half. Yeah, it was enough time to get in if you wanted to get in.
7. Yeah, I mean I thought it was 16 for some reason. Where did I get $16 from?
Bitcoin got to 16,000.
Yeah, I remember Bitcoin getting to 16,000. Yeah, I mean I do remember there was some people on crypto Twitter that was like, I'm taking this position.
Yeah.
I'm buying this up. I know you guys might laugh or whatever. So kudos to those people that did take those positions there. And I mean, but it wasn't like a technical like issue or failure or anything. It was one entity that was really overexposed to Solana that collapsed their price. So it wasn't anything that the founders or anything did. So if you thought about it and broke that down from a fundamental level, like it was the skill of, and I didn't do that, by the way, because I didn't break it down by fundamental level like I'm talking about now. But it was pretty obvious that it was like the buy of a lifetime.
It really was. If you were buying at like between $7 and $15, I mean, you're absolute genius. Like in that point, you bought you bought the FUD. Like that's what they always say: buy the FUD, and you bought the FUD because it wasn't. You're right, it wasn't. But yeah, remember too, Solana is seen as this centralized bullshit chain for the longest time. It hasn't gone down in a long time though, right? When something happens, Solana's down again. You don't hear that no more. So there was technically some issues back then as well, right? But now you're not seeing that anymore.
But that was never like what caused it to. The only time that really happened though was whenever the price pressure, sell pressure was extreme, and they didn't. They kind of knew that like if that certain whale. This is my opinion, by the way. I haven't seen this anywhere. If that certain whale had dumped their remaining Solana, that it could be game over at that point.
$2-3 they were saying, yeah, for sure. So yeah, so I definitely think it's I would even put them up there together. I mean, it's been the biggest winner of this cycle, and Solana is probably one of the biggest winners of this cycle too. So in revenue, I mean, this came out of nowhere, right? Like this has been around for almost 6 years now. This has been pretty damn new. So, but what's your prediction for next year? Because I think Base is going to outperform everybody.
I think Base has a big run. BitTensor is going to be interesting because although like the fundamentals of like the tokenomics of the token and things are great, it's how much usage can it get? That's going to be the question. How much revenue can it generate? So I think we're going to learn about that, and then yeah. So if I had to pick one, I would say probably Base. BNB could be something that comes out of, they could upgrade. They have all of the marketing aspect of it, obviously, really down. But so Base needs to actually, in my opinion, from the Binance does a better job than Base does for on-chain marketing and pushing, in my opinion. I think Base is learning, and they hired obviously Jesse Pollock and some of these people to lead Base chain, but it's just not hitting the same, like, you know what I mean? Like CZ, because CZ speaks more on it, and Brian Armstrong doesn't. Brian Armstrong doesn't speak on Base chain directly, but CZ speaks about BSE all the time. You know what I mean? And so I think that's the main difference, and maybe that changes. Brian Armstrong responded to Thread Guy's video and gave him a call and all these things. They have the opportunity. They have the largest market, consumer market, the largest financial market in the world, in the United States, that's backing them pretty much. So they have the opportunity to do it. Let's see if they do, though.
And they have potentially a top 10 coin that they're going to give away for free. Like 100% of the supply, potentially given away for free. And, if they do this right, and they say, hey, guys, our airdrop's going to be January 1st of next year. You can start earning points today. How many people are just going to be farming that, right? Like, even me, like, I'm going to figure out ways. Like, if there's an AI project over there, I'm going to be playing with that instead of playing with Solana, just so I'm earning some points, right? Like, I'm going to try to earn as much as I possibly can, because that could be a top 10 token next year.
Yeah, you're right. It could be a top 10 token. I really do think that if they do a give back to Coinbase legacy app people, that could bring people on chain.
That's what they're saying. They're saying, if you have an account and you've done stuff on Base, you're gonna get a part of that airdrop. But Jesse,
I'm talking about like if you've done stuff on Coinbase.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. If you did the Coinbase app from 2013, they want to reward the people that's been there since 2013 as well. So if you open an account, longer your account's been open, potentially the longer more.
But they're probably gonna put an announcement out, I would imagine, and saying, hey, if you have a Coinbase account, they'll probably send an email out to everybody. If they take this route, which I think they should, go download the Coinbase wallet. Because the Coinbase wallet is going to give us an address that we can associate your
you already have one.
Yeah. So
Ethereum address.
Yeah, I guess so. The Ethereum that you send in and out, but you won't. I guess they could just drop the token into your Coinbase account, your decentralized one too. Yeah.
Just boom, it just shows up. Like there's
it won't really encourage like Base activity as much. But I mean, they're smarter than I am in terms of
they can say, hey, like you can put your base on chain today, or something like that once it's airdropped in your wallet, and then give percentage, do whole, to give more API away or something, for people that go move it on chain and stuff. But I if they go that route, they might just try to reward the people that are using the base chain only. And that's what I want. Like I don't give if
I want both
pieces of pie.
I want both.
I didn't use Coinbase enough, so
I know, that's why you don't care, but I did.
All right, let's get to some TradFi stuff. The U.S. Supreme Court will not provide a ruling today. Remember, you talked about this yesterday, that they were going to be giving a ruling today. This has pushed the odds up from 25% to 31%. Either way, Supreme Court is set to rule against Trump. So they're still set to rule against Trump, Poly Market saying, but they are extending this. But I'm hearing people talk about that they might not give a ruling on this until later this year. Like they because they're having internal conflicts. It's not
okay. So then why is Poly Market so sure?
Because it's definitely so. I'm thinking it's like there's how many Supreme Court judges, whatever it is. I think you need a complete ruling from all of them together on this or something.
No,
it's
always majority. But what I will say is watch out for this on Poly Market, because I would not be shocked if this flips hard. But I'm not saying that's going to happen.
Well, the judges aren't voted in, right? So if them, they don't care.
Yeah. But
they just vote against Trump.
Yeah, who? The Supreme Court judges?
In there. Some of them. I mean, the Democratic appointed ones. They pretty much vote against Trump on everything.
I mean, they obviously try not to, because it's the highest level of court in the land, right? And so there's obviously some of them that in both ways that are lean one way or the other, right? But it is interesting that they are delaying this, and I almost wonder why the delay is there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be watching Poly Market because it was really strong. What is the actual name of the market? Do you remember?
Yeah, I got it right here. It's Supreme Court rules in favor of Trump's tariffs. It's back down to 25% though. You did see it have a little run though, up here though. So
okay, and before, wow, dude, goodness, if you go back to September 4th, so this has been September 4th of last year was at 50%, and now it's only at 25%, which is crazy. Yeah, definitely. Huh.
Yep. We got some economic data today. U.S. December non-farm payroll rose to 50K, below its 60K estimate, while unemployment edged down to 4.4%. So unemployment is dropping. So this is getting a little worrisome when it comes to Jerome Powell and cutting rates again. We might have to wait to May before we get a rate cut now, because everything's looking really good.
I didn't expect any rate cuts in the beginning of the year. So
January and February.
I mean, I just felt like we got 3 out of the 4. He was kind of hinting that we weren't going to get the last one, but we did. And, maybe we do get one in Q1. But I don't care. At this point, it's just you know what I mean? We know that he's not going to be there, and it's going to be really rate cut friendly, probably starting in the summer. So, I don't personally care too much about if he's gonna do a rate cut this month or next month or the other. I'm done with Powell in the sense of that, stuff. If he comes out and talks about other stuff regarding our space and stuff, I'll listen and see what is he talking about, but not with rate cuts.
Yeah, it kind of feels like the end of Biden, right? When Biden was the last couple months of Jerome Biden of Biden's thing. He just didn't care what he said anymore. I was like, oh, you're going away anyway. So the next 3 meetings, I don't think they're going to fall on deaf ears. I think when he's speaking, because everyone's like, you're out in 3 months, doesn't matter. So, I don't think his speech is going to matter. He only has 3 more left. So the 3 more meetings that he's involved in are these 3. It's the 18th. So January 28th, we don't get one for the 45 days, which is March 18th. And then after that, we don't get one for another 45 days, which is April 29th. So, and this is Jerome's last meeting as chairman officially. He'll still be on the board though. A lot of people don't understand that. He'll still have a vote, but he won't be the chairman anymore.
Yeah. What is that going to look like?
Yeah, I don't. Solana and XRP spot ETFs saw net inflows on January 8th, while Bitcoin and Ethereum spot ETFs saw net outflows. So now we're seeing Bitcoin and Ethereum dump and on the stock market, and XRP and Solana getting bought up. Is that telling you anything?
So I'm sorry, I don't want to get it backwards. So you said it has Bitcoin and Ethereum getting bought up or
dumping, while
dumping?
Solana and XRP are getting bought up, which originally we both thought it would be the other way.
Yeah. I feel like this is more of like the targeted kind of interest in what they think is going to be more of a thriving opportunity for them that they're going to be a part of creating.
Yeah.
Right. And it goes back to them being selective on, what's going to win, what's going to win. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, the Solana XRP going up, to me, it's TradFi that feels bullish on it, but the XRP part, because I remember you saying something this morning, I wonder how they feel about it, because, maybe they're a bit, split on that from the TradFi sector, because you do have, the roots of Brad Garlinghouse knowing a lot of those same people in that network. So there, some of them probably bullish on the fact that he can hype up this project and stuff.
Retail in TradFi is very bullish on XRP. The institutions are very bearish on it. Is kind of what I'm hearing.
That's interesting. But Solana, we know that they're pretty much collectively, it's they're bullish on it. Yeah. Does it start any other type of trickle down effect? I don't know, because I would think I don't know, is ETH getting pushed into like the Bitcoin category to where it is like going to be more of the stabilized asset? I hope not, because we really haven't seen it have that exciting like thrive up yet.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's scary though. It's scary times to be in crypto for sure. I listened to Benjamin Cohen yesterday, and he's still calling for a bear market the next 6 months. He's calling for like 75K Bitcoin, $1,300 Ethereum, like really, really strong numbers. So I don't know.
$1,300. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So the SEC has officially removed crypto from its 2026 priorities, no longer listing it as a special risk area. So this was number 1 on that list, and now it's completely off it. There's like 17 or 18 different things on their priority list, and crypto in 2023 was number 1, and it is now completely off the list.
Are they going to care about it as much?
They're saying most cryptos are commodities.
Is that like a good thing if they don't care about it as much?
It's not in their wheelhouse. They're saying it's not a security.
So it means that like
it's something we always wanted, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is that sometimes you get what you want and you're just like, oh, hold up, let's rewind. Let's rewind. No, I say that. Hold on. Yeah, let me give you my reason why I'm seeing kind of, I seem a little conflicted on this, is because it's almost kind of like whenever, like, if you play football growing up and you're like, man, coach always gets on to me, and then like someone's like, well, that's because he thinks you're good, he wants you, he's paying attention to you. He don't say anything to Joe Schmo over there that's like can't even touch his toes, you know what I mean, or whatever, right?
It's hard to do.
Not when you're young though. It depends on how big you are though, right? But anyways, and so it's almost kind of like, if the SEC doesn't care about our space as much because it's not a priority, then we get less headlines from them. And then next thing you know, we're just like this, like, kind of industry that's just kind of like, heartbeat. Mm-hmm. And that's it, right? And I don't know. I mean, like, obviously we don't want the negative part of it, but I hope that like the clarity and the infrastructure and comes with still, even if it's completely different, these opportunities for everyday regular people to still be able to win. I think they will. We're gonna have to learn together on what that looks like.
Yeah, 100%. I think this is a good thing. I think them basically coming out and saying, we don't think crypto is a security. There might be some assets that will be, but we're going to put up the Clarity Act, and we're going to judge what is. But right now, we're not going to say if something's security or not until we get new ruling. I love that. I love it. It's like there's nothing we can do. It's not a security unless the Clarity Act says it's a security. Then let's go. But right now we don't have the clarity. We're not going to take what someone wrote in 1922 about security laws and use them on assets, innovation assets. We just can't do it. And I love that because Gary Gensler would always say it doesn't pass the Howey test, right? That is a test that was created in 1922, and we're in 2026, right? You can't use those rules, and I'm actually really happy that they're basically saying like, go ahead, do whatever you think is best, because until we get rolling, we can't judge it. I love that.
Yeah, or until there's like an issue that flags the space.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Then they'll get involved wherever they need to, right? But it's like if there is no issue for them to fix something, then they're gonna stay on the sidelines, right? And then so it was the opposite before. It was there's a big issue here, but you guys got to figure it out. and we're going to randomly pick a couple of you guys to make you guys as examples. But here it was so stupid. It was like, okay, that's not how like government entities should work, or government associated entities should work.
I think until a company comes out, like if SpaceX was like, hey, we're not doing an IPO, we're doing an ICO. And the SEC like, hold on, you're security. Like
that's whenever they could jump in. Yeah.
That's when they would jump in for sure. Coinbase announces copper and platinum futures are set to go live on January 2026. So are you going to go long on copper on January 2026 on Coinbase? That sounds crazy to say out loud. Are you going to go long on copper on Coinbase in 2026?
No. Probably not. I mean, not at this very moment. I need to research why I would do that. But
you're gonna short it? You're gonna short copper? You gotta do that
no. Now. Same answer. But it is emerging in the sense of these two different industries, right? Commodities and they're already talking about stocks coming on as well, and so it emerging is happening for sure of traditional finance and digital asset space. And as time goes on, they're going to merge fully, I feel like.
Yeah, 100%. Ethereum's validator execute has dropped to 0. Today, there is no one withdrawing their Ethereum from the queue for the first time in a long time. It's still taking about 11 days to get your Ethereum inside the queue. For the ingoing is nearly still packed up, but the outgoing is 0. And I have a chart here to show that. This is it. It has gone from October being one of the highs of Ethereum being withdrawn to almost nothing. It's been, prior, we've seen this before, right? But entry is skyrocketing, while this is just dumping.
I mean, that's a good sign. That's a great sign. That's a great sign because the desperation is gone. I feel like there was desperation of getting liquid, and a lot of this stuff was trying to sell down staked assets or get stables out, and both of those at one point had some pretty long queues, and this is a good sign. This is a really good sign.
I agree. Tether has minted another $1 billion on
Let's
Tron
go
today. So it just shows you, dude. We were talking about Tron earlier, but this is huge. I mean, they haven't done this in over, I want to say about 6 months. So remember we were talking about it last year. It was just like, but then we were like, where's this money going? Well, with Tether, with Tron, for instance, it goes into Justin Lend. Justin Lend is one of the leaders, which I think is insane. Justin's son, Just Lend. Just Lend is one of the leaders over there. It's the biggest, APY easily for stablecoins, but people just mint Tether and just stake it. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it is wild. But every time that Tether mints a lot of stable coins, eventually Bitcoin goes up. And so
not when they do it on Tron.
I know they don't typically do it here, I don't think, but who knows though? I don't know if all 1 billion is going to go into staking, but maybe a good portion of it. But it's them that minted it, right? So, there's always an eventual pump up of Bitcoin whenever they mint something. This is a pretty large amount. I mean, 1 billion, so
Sure. Barron's reports that Morgan Stanley is planning a digital wallet later this year that could support a wide range of tokenized assets, including private company equity. So you're potentially going to be able to hold Morgan Stanley equity in their wallet here. Their wallet will be a very centralized wallet. Do you see people using centralized wallets for crypto?
It's
To
just
where, like, if you lose your keys, Morgan Stanley can help you get them back?
I mean, their clients maybe if they, they talk. And when I say Morgan Stanley, what do you think? Do you think like reputable, TradFi company, been around forever, that type of thought, or do you think what's your first thoughts?
I don't
Just
know,
a
man.
name
Big
from
money.
big
Yeah,
money
it's just
name
I
brand.
don't think it's the same if you said JP Morgan or if you
Okay,
said
yeah, right.
BlackRock,
You
right?
can
It's
kind of
this
throw all those together.
yeah,
If you look at
Fidelity.
the fraud cases that like all of those guys, by the way, but like JP or Morgan Stanley specifically, and how much they paid in fines,
Mhm.
like it's astronomical. But they never get the names ran through the ringer like our space does,
Mhm.
and it's crazy to me because their revenue is just so large in what they're able to do. So they'll pay a $450 million fine that they're willing to try to edge, you know, make as much as they can, whether it's um, cheating or whatever. But then they just pay the fine. I mean, Citadel paid the fine when the
Mhm.
whole GameStop fiasco, right? They paid a big fine for the dark pooling and all that stuff whenever it got down to it, and they didn't care. They just paid it, and that's I just that's the kind of stuff that like I'm like, man, that shit is coming to us, right?
Yeah.
Um, and they're starting to favor these privacy chains. You see JP Morgan with the JPM coin going back to their privacy chain that they're going to utilize it on a lot. So that's nothing to scare people that are listening in. They're not going to steal your money if you're just some regular person. I'm not saying that, but they have a lot of strategies to make sure that they get as much revenue and profit every year as possible. And some of it is illegal because they get caught for it in TradFi. And from my understanding, by the way, but they'll pay the fine. So now that the SEC isn't governing this area, who slaps them on the wrist? Market structure bill.
Well, it would be the commodities exchange, right? It would be that
Are
area.
they as like aggressive to check
Well,
for
you
those
gotta
things?
so there a lot of them they do make sure like the farmers aren't like messing up, right? They make sure like the milk futures and the coffee futures and the rice futures like that's where crypto is technically going to be. I think we need a whole different division to be trading with like milk futures. Like Solana is being governed by the same people who do milk and coffee futures. Like it's crazy, but as a commodity, but Bitcoin is looked at as a commodity, right? Bitcoin, gold is looked at as a commodity, same area, right? It's being governed by the commodities area, right? CFT, what is it, CFTC?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that's where this. So that's who's going to be. I mean, they already deal with Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley they trade gold futures, silver futures, like they're already there, right? So it's not a complete outreach, a new area for them to be looking at. But why does it benefit Morgan Stanley to have a wallet?
To, I guess, keep their book of business that's used to centralized approaches and stuff, to not lose them to DeFi companies or DeFi, them creating their own departments and, clients wanting to basically custody their own stuff. I think that's probably one of the main reasons, because a lot of these companies are looked at as TVL of funds managed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about that all the time with BlackRock leading the way, I think at like 16 trillion or something, Vanguard with 13 trillion, and then Fidelity, I think it was number 3 or something.
Yeah.
But they want to keep those statuses, you know what I mean? Which, I don't think crypto is going to take much away yet, but in the future, maybe they're laying the foundation down to say, hey, look, this is a way for you to kind of look over your own stuff, but it's really them.
Yeah. Stan has a very important question. He says, is Philly known for subs or pizza? Catching the train above brotherly love. So if you come to Philly, do not say the word sub. You need to say the word hoagie. I know outside of Philly, I don't think anyone uses the term hoagie, but in Philly, you want to get a hoagie. You want to get yourself Italian hoagie or a turkey hoagie, but you really want to get yourself a cheesesteak from Angelo's or Del Rossi's. Do not go to Pat's and Geno's. Pat's and Geno's is a tourist spot. If you go to Pat's and Geno's, you're getting a shitty piece of meat on a shitty roll. Don't do it. It's just a tourist spot. Go to Pat's, go to Geno's. They're not far. And Skinny Joey. Joey is our head of the mafia here in Philadelphia. So if you're gonna get cheesesteak, go to Skinny Joey's. It's right by the stadiums in South Philly. So, but you got to respect the mob here in Philly. You get a cheesesteak, you go to Skinny's, but do not go to Pat's and Geno's. Get a cheesesteak, get a hoagie. The pizzas here it's good. It's very similar to New York, but you don't come to Philly for its pizza. But yeah, sorry. I'll move along though. Where am I? Ondo Finance adds another 98 new stocks and ETFs to its Ondo Global Markets, making a list of over 200 tokenized equities available on Ethereum and BNB. We do know that Ondo is building its own chain. It will be a layer 2. It does look like it's going to be a layer 2 on top of I think Ethereum, I want to say. I'm pretty sure Ethereum, but I think they're using Optimism just like Coinbase is. So we'll kind of see how that goes. I know it's going to be EVM, but I don't know if they're going to build like how Robinhood is building, almost like a layer 3 on top of Arbitrum, right? So, or they're going to go the way of Coinbase to do it like a real L2. So it's one of those things where I'm not really sure, but Ondo, man, they're really putting a lot of stocks and ETFs now on their marketplace.
I wonder if Ondo is going to be one of like an infrastructure, almost kind of like the NASDAQ possibly for that new Texas, digital stock exchange area. Mm-hmm. I'm just speculating on that because I feel like BlackRock has a lot of influence on both Ondo and I think they're kind of being the front leader of that whole project in Texas. I don't even know where that's at. I think it's going to be in Dallas actually. But no one's really talking about it over here, which is crazy. It's kind of like one of those quiet projects.
I thought they're putting it by SpaceX.
Are they?
Austin, right? That's what I heard.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
In that area, whatever. But Ondo, I see them more of a competitor to Robinhood than the NASDAQ. I see them being like, an on-chain version of Robinhood, where you can just, you load your app up, you're buying stuff, you're buying it on-chain, you don't even realize you're buying it on-chain, right? It's just showing up. And they're doing everything for you in the back end. You have an app, it's a centralized app. You buy, Tesla, you're getting Tesla, but it's coming in as tokenized, right? And like the whole back end will be tokenized, and you'll be able to look and kind of see what chain you're on and stuff like that.
Well, I think it's going to be more like NASDAQ because I think it depends on how centralized they make Ondo, right? If they're going to make it like run like a legitimate business, then yeah, I could see that. Or if it's going to be like a place of truth for data, right? Because it's going to be a blockchain with all these assets on them. So that's why I feel like it's more like the NASDAQ. But with that being said, you could be right because NASDAQ is just an index, right? Yeah, that's fine. And so, I would say from a technical standpoint, you're probably more right. It could be
Robinhood. They're doing the same thing, right? They're doing the exact same thing. They're building a chain. They're putting all the equities on there. They're putting all the ETFs.
It just won't be like a centralized company unless they make it. But the stock exchange is in Dallas actually, which is crazy because I just looked it up. Yeah. So, but like again, that no one's here talking about it. So it's weird. Yeah. It's weird.
Stan says, damn, I used to work in Philly. Damn, no way. He said all the time. He used to live out in Reading. Yeah, Reading's like an hour away. In Sinking Spring, PA. Nice. Yeah, man. He said NYC and Philly. Yeah, two different places for sure. I mean, they're very similar on the people. The people are like scumbags in both places. So it's not.
Well, that's like telling you who he is. No, just kidding.
I used to be one.
My wife, we were walking yesterday, and she was like, Philly's like Midwest people, and I was like, no. I was like, Philly is like New York and Jersey, but the rest of PA, like Western PA, is like Midwest. You know what I mean? It's like Ohio and stuff like that.
Yeah. So basically, where Philly is obviously southwest of Pennsylvania. So if you go north, Pennsylvania is a beautiful place, but if you like Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and all the bigger cities, it's just scumbag people. But yeah. I know because I used to be one, but moving along now. Polygon. So this is interesting. Polygon's leadership, founder Sadeep Nawal and CEO Mark Barron announced a new 4-layer framework designed to make stablecoin transfers cheap, fast, and automatically earning yield for its users. So they're building this framework that's going to be built on top of Polygon that's going to help. If you are just holding stablecoins, you're going to get yield just from holding them in your wallet. That is being governed by the Polygon systems, where a portion of the fees are going to giving you yield just for holding USDC in your Polygon wallet. But not just that, they're building an entire framework for the way you're to use it. They're calling it like blockchain 2.0. They haven't put out the official papers yet, but I was reading a little bit into it and talking to ChatGPT about it. And ChatGPT basically said Polygon is pitching a full stack stablecoin payment system, blockchain settlement, payment routing, finance services, and apps with cheap transfers plus auto yield. So, like I said, this is day one of this. They just put this out there, but if this works, this could be the new way of building on a blockchain, and you just hold tokens and you get yield just like a bank account.
Yeah. Yeah. And I almost wonder if countries like, larger countries, top 50 countries in the world start to kind of gravitate towards like a certain blockchain and associate more to it. Because we do know like Polygon has a close relationship with, I think, India, right? Because they put the rupee, digital rupee or something on there. And so this kind of stuff is like, they want, eventually I think countries start wanting these chains to have more and more success. And so because the taxation could come out of that, who knows? I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it's gonna be interesting to see down the line, because if you think about it right now, there's certain cities or countries that, like, for example, Hong Kong, like China wanted Hong Kong. They was a part of China, but like weird special relationship, but it was the financial hub of Asia forever, right? So if they lost Hong Kong, that would have been huge, right? And so I wonder if it kind of starts to shift towards that, to where countries are like, okay, Polygon, that's the one that we really want to latch on to, or something. I don't know. I just thought of that. I know it's a little off topic.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely. I mean, I think you're right. I think India has picked Polygon, right, that as their number one chain. So Polygon is super fast, dude. And people think Polygon is an L2. Polygon is not an L2. Polygon is an L1 side. It originally was made as a side chain, but it's like Ethereum competitor now. It really is. So. Privacy hack starts January 12th. Build private payments, private privacy tooling, or anything with privacy on Solana. So Solana Foundation is giving away $70,000 in total prizes to 3 different projects that win this. So if you're building for privacy, if you're building for tooling, if you're building for anything for Solana in this area, you need to make sure you guys fill an application to submit your project, because you can you get 70 grand. But it does look like Solana, they want privacy tools to be running on Solana right now. They're really big into this. So this is just one of the ones they're planning. They're potentially planning on doing one each month and giving away $70,000 to people that are building privacy style products on Solana.
Is that weird? Why do you think that, like, they're like trying to push it? First of all, that's a small prize pool for, in my opinion,
each month.
Like,
each month.
Oh, it's a monthly one. Okay, monthly one. That's pretty good. Yeah. But it like the whole privacy thing, to me, it's like, them wanting to have these like the privacy toolings and stuff. Like, is someone like talking to the founders of Solana to push this?
Yeah, I think so. I think JP Morgan. I think I do.
We would love to be on Solana, but
think about it for a second. Think about why they put it on Canton CC, right?
Yeah,
they would love to put that on Solana, but the fact that
we can't show everybody, like all of our clients' transactions can't be exposed. That would give other competitors of theirs like an advantage, which that's a legitimate argument. Like when you're coming from like managing clients' finances, right? I'm just saying.
Think about this. If everything's on the chain and they go buy Tesla that morning, and then 9 a.m. put out a report on Tesla to pump the price, you can see that they bought it. They bought, they don't want that. They want you to think that they held it for a while, and then they're just putting out a report because they're good people and this is what they do for the community. They put out reports on companies, but in reality, they bought a shit ton of it that morning and they pumped the price. But they don't want you to see that, and that's why when they chose Canton, a privacy blockchain, I think that sent a statement throughout the entire
1,000%. I didn't know that until you told me, and I said,
yeah.
I was like, okay, yeah. It's so funny because it flipped from the SEC and world governments being anti-privacy because they didn't want tax evasion from citizens. But then now that the banking system wants it, oh, privacy's great. Privacy's awesome. We want privacy.
Of course we want privacy.
I mean, I'm fine with with privacy, because I think that especially with corporations that want, if they're going to use Solana for any type of like salary payroll or something like that, you got to be able to not have your employees know how much Jane makes a year if they're getting paid in Solana, et cetera, et cetera.
I would find out, bro. Like if my company was doing like a stable coin thing, I would sit there and do the math. Like, okay, this person got how much they making? Why'd they get? You know what I mean? I'd be in that, bro. Because I remember when I had access.
And you'd probably go to the break room and then slap on the list and be like, "Everybody,
no,
can you believe this person's making this?" No, I'm just kidding.
I was working second shift and I had access to the computer to make sure I was doing something right. And I
hold on. I don't know if you should.
No, this company doesn't exist anymore. But I had access to payroll. I saw how much everyone was making, and it didn't bother me at first until somebody would be like, "Yo, can you do this for me?" And I'm thinking in my head, like, "You make $6 more than me, you piece of shit." Like, it started getting to me, bro. It wasn't healthy for me to find out because there was nothing more. There's nothing I can do about it. And eventually, I got in a fight with the one guy because he was making more than me, but he was like 30 years older than me. But I could do the job better. So it bothered me. So, but yeah, it's not healthy to find out how much everyone's making. I learned that the hard way. So, but Glasshopper gave me some homework to do, and I did my homework. So I definitely want to report on that. So he asked me to check out this wallet here. I have downloaded it. I looked into the docs and stuff. It does seem to be very similar to what the other ones are. My browser does not like me going the crypto stuff. So it's kind of this is just kind of their yield calculator and stuff like that. So I'm gonna dig deeper into it. I'm gonna download the wallet and everything, but 100%, bro. And to keep it wild, the easiest way to put your TAL to work, basically earn yield on your TAL for just holding it in there. So definitely gonna be checking this out for sure. And the last thing here is Provex Sacrifice. If you are somebody who's been in the Richard Hart ecosystem with Hex or Pulse Chain or PulseX, then you know about Provex already. But 6 hours away from the end, I was somebody who bought almost day 2. It might have been day 1. I'm pretty sure it was day 2 though, where I got in super early. I put about $600 in, nothing crazy, but you had to watch this stairway go up, and as it went higher and higher, they were getting less and less points. People are thinking that the points or whatever is going to be the amount of tokens that you get. So right now there's going to be 1.273 trillion tokens. I'm getting about 6 million tokens. Well, 6 million points that I don't know if they're going to be tokens or not. I don't know how he's going to do it.
A lot of points, like the trillion.
So, 1.2 trillion. So 6 million isn't going to be much. It's going to be very, very small. But if rumor has it that $404 million has been sacrificed, 380 of that was from Richard Hart. So Richard Hart basically bought his own token, technically, right? So, and if he uses that Ethereum for the pool's going to start at 404, almost $1 billion potentially, because it doubles the amount of ETH and then the amount of tokens. So potentially this could be $1 billion coin to start, honestly, if Richard Hart puts in all of his sacrificed Ethereum into the pool. So he might, because he did get in trouble when Gary Gensler was the SEC chairman with the SAC wallet. So he didn't want to move it. He did not want to touch the sacrifice. Every Ethereum that ever went in there never left until recently. He started pushing it to Tornado Cash. And now all of a sudden, $400 million just end up in the sacrifice pool. And people are thinking that you're going to take the sacrifice pool and put it in a liquidity pool. Kind of one of his regrets, he said, was not putting all the sacrifice pool into the Pulse chain. So this is kind of like his redo here. And if he does this, and this thing's trading at like $800 million, I mean, the people who are in this are going to easily 10, 15, 20x. Like, this could be exactly what XPL did, and his complete give back to the community who still believes in them.
I mean, it could be. It absolutely could be, especially if $380 million, man. That's a lot, right? So it's kind of like, well, Oh, this is a good way to get things going again. So I hope so for your sake, because like that was a good dice roll
Well,
if that happens.
$600 at the time when I did this wasn't a lot. Today it's a lot. Back then it wasn't a lot. So it was very small, but it's one of those things. Hey, screw it.
Yeah, I
$10.
wonder. Okay, so if you look at Sonic, right? Because you know a lot about Sonic because of Phantom, right? And I think a lot of people were expecting more out of Sonic, just because the name behind it. But also, do you think the reason why it didn't necessarily like pop off as hard was because of the past of Phantom and him, or do you think it was more market conditions and it was new and it didn't seem very much different than other stuff?
You couldn't onboard users. So if you can't onboard users, you can't so Sonic is an EVM based product, right? So there's a lot of competitors when you build technically it's a Bitcoin Ethereum L2, right? So think about who you're competing with. You're competing with Base, you're competing with Arbitrum, Hyperliquid, right? And all the other ones. So I just felt like they were in a very narrow window.
It wasn't different enough.
Well, Andre didn't drop any projects. That was people were thinking. They were thinking he was going to drop a project. We do know about Flying Tulip, and it wants to be the Hyperliquid. So for me, everyone's just kind of waiting for Flying Tulip. If Flying Tulip can be what Hyperliquid is, and it's from Andre, and Andre said it's basically Hyperliquid on steroids, meaning like you're going to be able to do borrowing and lending day one, like everything. And there is centralized aspects of it, very similar to Hyperliquid, when they can stop hacks and stuff like that. So there's going to be like on and off switches to make sure that everything stays healthy. But I think Flying Tulip is going to be something special. But I mean, you got to remember, Sonic did go from 20 cents to $1.20 back down to, I think it's at 9 cents now or 13 cents around there. So it did go up when everything else did, but it had one of the biggest falls in the last 6 months.
Yeah, and he is somebody that knows how to play the market whenever it's very liquid. And so maybe it's kind of like, well, let's kind of hold off on releasing the full version of this and all this stuff until the markets get better. And the reason I even bring them up, because some people are probably like, why are you you were just talking about Provex, is because I wonder if that was the case because of his history of Phantom, the reason why Sonic hasn't really thrived. Would that kind of be a similar situation if like Richard Hart kind of before, right, the whole hex, and then you go to Pulse Chain and that stuff, could that affect the outcome of this?
Well, I mean, if he does, because you got to think about this for a second. You're sacrificing your coins to make a political statement. You believe in capitalism. So right there after the line is you're sacrificing your coins for a political statement, right? So in my eyes, reading that's Richard Hart saying, if you still believe in me, I promise you that I will make it right. Like, I'm going to make this right. This is him saying, I have billions of dollars that's sitting there that I can't spend, I can't use without getting in legal trouble. Billions of it, worth of Ethereum just sitting there in a wallet. I think this is his give back.
But it wouldn't be a give back for the people that sacrificed that didn't add more, though.
If you don't believe in him anymore, if you don't believe in Richard, you're not getting in this. So if you still believe in him, you still believe in everything that he's created, and you're like, you know what, you got in this. If you believed in Richard Hart, or even thought for a second, he did a 10,000x with Hex. You could have bought Hex in December of 2020.
You can't deny like that. A good amount of people made a good amount of money with Hex for sure.
Yes.
Pulse Chain, a different story.
Everyone lost the Pulse Chain, but there's no way to fix that.
Yeah,
he could have just dumped it into the pools, but they would have sold it down.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
and it was the situation. First of all, the market wasn't liquid. Really, it was especially for that type of chain and stuff. And then but this is kind of like, okay, I don't have to look over my shoulders constantly. I can actually probably come back to the States and go full force Hex mode again, to where he can get his disciples and they can go from convention to convention and preach the gospel of Hex and Provex now, right? But at the end of the day, if there is $380 million that's going to be contributed into this from that, I think that's a huge start, and see where it goes.
And Provex too is a product. It's a product that's going to be running on Base. It's going to be running on Solana. What it is. It's off-chain indexers to prove anything. So if me and you have a conversation, right, and you're like, I did that, but I can't physically prove that, you're gonna be able to use something like, I don't know the technology behind it. He hasn't released it yet.
And Vitalik just kind of made a statement saying that, like, you know, these type of tools are needed for non-layer 1 transactional needs, right? So
100%. Let's see if there are any more comments here. Blazing Bandit says, awesome info, Glasshopper. He said the cool thing is you can earn subnet alpha tokens. Whoa, with your stake Tau. Wow.
You know that.
Okay,
you know that.
I didn't. Well, not with stake Tau, because when you stake Tau, you have to stake it in the number 1.
No, you can...
I think you stake the Tau, and they do it for you. Like the wallet, you know, because like if I stake Tau, I gotta like break it up and put it in different areas. Like I don't know, like I think it's just like, hey, stake Tau, and then you just earn alpha tokens. Because
they
use your Tau
for the alpha, or for the subnets, you have to swap into the alpha token.
Yes,
and then automatically like passively.
But if I'm just holding Tau and I'm earning alpha tokens, that's lovely, right? So, I wonder if there's any loss or anything like that. I'll have to look into that. So AVAX on Sol. Dude, come on, man.
AVAX on Sol, Sol on Base, Sol on AVAX, AVAX on Base.
Pulse Bitcoin. What up, Hadley? Got some.
Well, it's probably weird because you're going backwards. You were going up, so you're reading the message response to the previous message.
I know. I was messing up there. So there will always be winners in the sector. Glasshopper, trying to see if Stanley has anything else about Philly, but yeah, that is it, guys. That is our show for you guys. For real, Highland, my guy. I appreciate you, Ron. I appreciate every single one of you, Glasshopper, Stan, myself. I know you're not 10 today, but I appreciate you, my friend, and everyone else who comments every day. Guys, the comments, we love them. We really, really appreciate them. We're trying to do a better job. And if there's anything we can do to do a better job for you guys, let us know. We're trying to get the comments more often, trying to get you guys more a part of the show. We know before, well, me anyway, I knew that I wasn't prioritizing you guys in your comments, but I definitely want to do that this year. It's kind of my goal. So let's bring the comments in. Appreciate you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Ryan, man. Absolutely awesome. And appreciate every single one of you guys each and every day.
Absolutely, guys. We appreciate you. Without you guys, we couldn't do the show, but also without our partners, we couldn't do it. And if you are a builder and you're interested in getting that banner down there, go to pyro.buzz and you can bid for it. But our partners are kind of what allow us to do this in terms of the financial side, right? Because they help, sponsor the show in a sense. And so, if you check out Merlin Chain, you can see that they are uniting Bitcoin strength through the power of AI with their Wizard version 2.0, and it can guide you through the Merlin Chain ecosystem. But it also can guide you outside the ecosystem to pick up hot tokens on the Solana or BSC blockchain. All you got to do is have some Merlin Chain Bitcoin in your Merlin Chain wallet, and you can purchase those through the Wizard. But you can also purchase tokens on Merlin Chain. You can do DeFi swaps and staking through the Wizard as well. And speaking of staking, they have a proof of stake security model that you guys can participate in 3 ways. The first way is staking Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin. They have their second staking vault that ended yesterday, and there's going to be more information on that. But they shoot for between 8%, the minimum, and 21% as kind of that top ceiling there of APR that you can earn. They try to find a good middle ground there, and so just stay tuned as they will announce the next staking vault that will open up, and you get paid in Bitcoin, by the way. So we do know the first staking vault ended with 17% APR, so it's gonna be interesting how the second one ends. But stay tuned to the next open Bitcoin staking vault. And then there's 2 ways to participate with the Merlin Chain token staking. The first way is the flexible, which is a day-to-day staking option. You earn 15% APR. You can claim your rewards every single day. You can do whatever you want with those rewards, roll them up into a compound interest strategy, sell them, keep them in your wallet, whatever you want. Just know if you do withdraw your Merlin Chain tokens from the staking vault, it does take 7 days for their cooldown period for that. And then the other option is the 6-month lockup period, which you earn 45% APR. And then the cool thing about the 6-month lockup period, you can claim your rewards every single day as well and do whatever you want with those, but they are locked up for 6 months. So those are the 2 staking products there, or 3, I should say. And I'm sure they're going to have other products in the future in terms of staking. But, make sure you're following them on X at Merlin Layer 2 and, stay updated with their latest and greatest updates, right? They are constantly talking with centralized exchanges, getting listed and those type of things. Stay tuned for the next Merlin Monday update, which should be this coming weekend. Jeff has been out of town for business and he's back now. So we'll be able to get another episode out for you guys soon. And then our next partner is satsman.fun, which is a fun meme runes Bitcoin Layer 1 launchpad. Right. So we think that Runes is going to have their comeback once the market is more liquid, and you got to utilize satsman.fun to either launch your own Runes meme coin, utility coin, whatever you want to do. You can launch it directly from there. They utilize ICP's tech stack to make this a fast and seamless process. Right. But, they had their initial Genesis tokens that the team launched, right? The 7Z and the Landwolf tokens, but they're going to open this up to the public to where you guys can launch your own coins and start your own community. And we actually recorded a educational kind of DIY video for you guys if you're interested on how to get started with your own community, right? And what you can do and what we've seen that has shown past success. But you can see right there, the 7Z token and the Landwolf token are active, and they are active on RichSwap. And that's how the process works. Once you actually bond on satsman.fun, it takes the liquidity over to RichSwap, and then you can swap really fast, just like, one of those fast EVM chains or, Solana and stuff like that, right? So, be excited because they're going to open this up to the public, and we're going to do a live tutorial on how to launch a coin for you guys as well. It's going to be fun. But head over to richswap.io to see the coins that are available there, and satsman.fun to see how to launch a coin and how to bid on future tickers, because you can bid on future Runes tickers as well. As time goes on and the blocks continually go through, you're going to have access to shorter and shorter Runes ticker names. And it should be super exciting. Thank you guys so much for checking out our partners there.
Yep, great job, man. As always, you guys have a few more minutes and wouldn't mind checking out onchainrevolution.io. Some of the best articles dating all the way back 2023. Bitcoin today, 90,000. So we're going to start putting out some daily ones for you guys, but really kind of knocking out what is happening that day. So where, let's just say you don't have time to watch the show, you can come here and kind of click on it and kind of at least see the price action and the catalysts that are happening and what you guys should think about. So everything's going to be here for you guys at onchainrevolution.io. If you guys need a VPN, we highly, highly recommend Nord. NordVPN is, my opinion, is the best VPN out there. I use it each and every single day. It allows me to use stuff like Hyperliquid. It allows me to use stuff like MEXC, stuff that normally I would get geo-blocked from using. With a VPN, you put yourself to Italy or wherever in the world. That is privacy. It is your right. Privacy is now looked at as something that's needed everywhere. That's really cool. And with Nord, you can block your IP from anywhere. So anywhere you can put yourself in the world. I love it. Love it. Use it every day. Come here, guys. Make sure you guys are using our link, because I don't want you guys paying $11.59. I want you guys paying $3.39. Use our link, get that price, lock it in for 2 years, set it, forget it, and always use it. Put yourself in Italy or El Salvador or wherever else. If you guys are interested in getting a hardware wallet, we highly recommend Ledger. Ledger has been something that's battle tested. Highly recommend getting a Nano S or a X. My personal two favorites, $59 and $99. Check everything out here at onchainrevolution.io. Remember, guys, we're live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. And until Monday.
Peace.
OnChain revolution roll call. Market recap. You not bullish enough. No. You're not bullish enough. No. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed, gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. chain revolution.